from Saudi Arabia on Monday, where visas of all 264 passengers transported by Nigeria's largest airline, Air Peace, were turned back by authorities of Saudi Arabia. We don't know why. At this point, it seems like some sort of aerospace politics that they are playing at this point. The authorities did that when the president of Nigeria was in Saudi Arabia. Some sort of, it appeared like some sort of a conspiracy against the Nigerian airline at this point, Dr. Abati.
Well, I mean, we mentioned this earlier, that it is very embarrassing that the Saudi authorities would treat a Nigerian airline in this manner at a time when the president of Nigeria is there and businessmen from Nigeria are in Saudi Arabia, and they're having discussions about how to promote trade and investment cooperation between both countries. And I said that, look, this is disrespectful, and that the Nigerian authorities should take the matter seriously. Because as it turned out of the 264 passengers, when the Nigerian embassy in Saudi Arabia intervened, the Saudi authorities now said, okay, about 177 people should be sent back to Nigeria. The remaining should be allowed to get into Saudi Arabia. When originally they had visas and boarding checks confirmed that those visas were valid and that the airline had not done anything out of place. The airline had followed procedure. So this looks like unfair practice on the part of the Saudi authorities. And given that Nigeria and Saudi Arabia has what we call the bilateral air services agreement, BASA, well, the big thing there is reciprocity. When a Saudi airline is also flying to Nigeria, they should be sent back immediately, because international relations is based on mutual respect, equality. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Nigeria said they are investigating. They should not just investigate. They should summon the Saudi ambassador to Nigeria to come and offer an explanation. And beyond that, our airlines in Nigeria that fly the international route, they need the support of the Nigerian government. They should be made flag carriers, so that when they fly, they are representing Nigeria, and they will be given better courtesies and respect. But I think it's so embarrassing that our president is there and this has happened.
Yes, I think so too. Rufai, over to you on a quick comment. I mean, I strongly agree with Dr. Abati on that idea of reciprocity. I mean, I think some people on social media, if I can pull up some tweets, are even saying that they should give Saudi Arabia the Abacha treatment. I don't know if you remember back in the 90s when Abacha had banned British Airways. At this point, I think it is a disgrace. I think it is unfair. And I think that the Saudi Arabia authorities have a lot to answer at this point.
So like I said this morning, because we have to wrap up now, Audrey, like I said this morning, this is unfair, this is sad, this is abhorrent. And it's also a very sad one, owing to the fact that our president is there. We're talking to the Saudi authorities about business and trade ties and all of that. And it's just sad because Air Peace is doing well. Air Peace is getting a very good load of passengers into Saudi Arabia, and probably that's why this politics is happening. But most importantly, it's a clarion call for us as Nigerians to also look inward. The way we treat ourselves internally will determine how other nations treat us. And that's why we keep telling our leaders, fix this country, make it right. If you make it right to an enviable standard, Saudi Arabia too will not treat us this way. But I totally condemn what Saudi has done to us. And we should, I call for reciprocity as regards all of this action. But I know we have to go now. Doctor, wrap it up.
Well, 2023 general elections, that there would have been some effort by Inec to do a better job. But apparently this is a worse job. And I think for all of us, it is extremely sad to see elections conducted this way in this country. It brings to question how this democracy will continue, how this democracy will thrive if we cannot give citizens the option of deciding who rules them. The electoral system in this country has collapsed, and we have to go back to the drawing board. There's certainly we can't build anything on what is now. The system has been captured, and it is delivering incredibly sad results. It's not in terms of who wins or who doesn't win, but in terms of the process, in terms of the abuses of the process, in terms of citizens' lack of confidence in elections as a way of running a referendum on those who have ruled them or given a chance for people to take over. The country has lost its electoral system, and we certainly can only revive it if citizens ask the right questions and make the demands that should be made. When you look at the elections and you look at the fact that before the elections, those who are given responsibility for the running of the elections have been seen to be people who have been compromised, where partisan political elements are appointed into the Electoral Commission, where staff of the Electoral Commission and officials of the Electoral Commission have basically allocated themselves to serve political interests, then I think that where we are today is a very sad one, and this country's democracy cannot go any further with the kind of election administration system that we have in place today.
And we appreciate the fact that people like yourself, the Situation Room, and many other civil society groups keep the eye of a hawk, if you like, on these things and are able to do the kind of analysis that you're talking about. But beyond the sort of broad strokes of it, would you say that in terms of specific things, I mean, bread and butter issues, poverty, corruption, as well as violence were at the heart of this election?
I think certainly bread and butter issues relates to who can help to halt the slide that the country is descending into. Certainly when you look at people's conditions, you see a worse trend than previously, and it doesn't look like there's anything in the horizon that promises a break from the fall. So I think for people it's a major issue. But beyond that is the fact that those who are seeking political power are taking advantage of the huge poverty that has descended on the land and are now basically taking advantage of that, buying the elections, paying people off to vote for them. Vote buying is incredibly at an unmitigated proportion. So it's like people struggle so hard to purchase the election. They struggle so hard when they purchase the election to use the proceeds of being in office to buy the next elections. So in reality, my point of view is that we perhaps have come to a dead end with the present electoral system, and we must ask ourselves what lies ahead.
Right, but are you then suggesting that the results manifested themselves in such a way as to suggest that incumbents use their power? Because I mean, incumbents won in all three states.
Incumbents won in all 3 states, which is really not unexpected in a normal electoral system. But we don't have evidence that people voted freely. You set up a process. You decide that people go to vote. You decide that election results are calculated, tabulated, collated at the polling units, and then escalates to the different levels of collation. You expect that at the immediate primary units, where you have the polling units, that immediately results are counted, the result sheets are uploaded, and people can see that real time. In this result, in these elections, we saw results being ready before the elections. We are doing analysis of what has been uploaded, and there's a huge discrepancy in what has been uploaded.
You mean uploaded to IREV?
To the IREV.
Right.
So the whole idea of the IREV was that IREV was supposed to be real life uploading of results. But now it looks like, given that there was a huge question about the efficiency of IREV, it's now become just another tool to upload whatever it is you
whenever
choose.
you feel like,
whenever you
and
feel
not
like,
in real time.
not real time, not real results.
Right.
So there is a major question where we are with elections in this country.
Well, that's a very important point you make. And as I said, once again, coming from people like yourself, I mean, it's very important for us to listen very attentively to what you're saying. It's amazing, isn't it, how politicians who are supposed to protect and uphold the integrity and the values of this country have become the ones who have infiltrated this country, if I could use that term, and have decimated every institution in it, not least the ones that have to do with elections. Is that an exaggeration, or is that a fair assessment of the way things are in Nigeria?
No, it's certainly not an exaggeration, and you can see that from what has played out with the elections. You can see that with what has played out with the reports of election observers. The media, thankfully, has been very dutiful in putting out these reports in real time. So it looks like everything sacred have been desecrated by the politicians and by those given responsibility to uphold their sacredness. And that's the point that I make. If all of these institutions are failing, if the politicians have found a way of manipulating it, if so much public funds is taken out of the public treasury to buy election results, and that's why you would say an incumbent would win, because they have access to unparalleled resources.
They hold the purse strings.
They hold the purse. So whether it's an incumbent from an opposition party or an incumbent from a ruling party, it's the same traits.
Yes. So how can Nigeria get out of this explosion of irregularities, corruption, and violence in elections?
I think in 2007, when incredibly horrible elections were conducted in this country.
That's when President Yaradua
This was when
President
Yaradua of blessed memory came into office. He came into office and he said, "I'm really sorry, Nigerians. These election results that brought me into office lack credibility. Now let us see how we can pull ourselves from where we were." And that was how come the Election Reform Committee was set up, headed by Justice Mohammed Lawal Uwais. And this had several members, including Professor Tahiru Jega, who later became the chairman of the Electoral Commission. But that president understood what went wrong, admitted it, and called people to conversation. So that was one way. And I think that we in civil society, we as citizens of this country, must raise our voices to say that this electoral system has collapsed. We can't trust those you have appointed into office. You have appointed your political acolytes. You've put them into management of elections. So we don't trust the electoral system anymore. We don't trust the officials. We don't trust the commission. And we don't trust that this process will help us save our democracy. And to save this democracy, this administration must come to the realization that citizens have no more confidence.
Well, I was going to
in elections.
ask you that. Do you detect the will in this new president, Bola Tinubu, to do something about cleaning up the electoral process? Or maybe it hasn't come up at all. And if he does, whether he can actually achieve this, whether he or anyone has a chance of fixing such an overwhelmingly corrupt system.
There were recent nominations of state resident electoral commissioners, and this was approved within a few minutes by the plenary at the National Assembly. Now, those nominations, several of them should never have been made because of the political feints of some of those that were in that list. And for me, that's a very sad signal. But whether the administration likes it or not, whether this president likes it or not, I think it's important that he listens to what Nigerians are saying, which is that this system has failed. And if this system has failed, and you still have a couple of off-cycle elections, about 4 or 5, leading up to 2027, it's only going to get worse. And in 2027, I don't know whether it can be called elections. It certainly won't be if this trajectory continues. And at that stage, it will become clear, even to the president at that stage, that this country's democracy is on its tethers and will drop and collapse. But certainly what we have today cannot take us to the next general elections.
Right. I know you mentioned the Justice Uwais report, but what steps would you propose to start to effect change and to fight corruption in elections? What array of policies would you recommend? Because I imagine that the government would have to come up with public policies, with Inec policies, with security policies, and the judiciary, and doing all the things that a government should do to guarantee the sanctity of elections.
I think there's been several recommendations made. One is with the Electoral Commission itself. I think that what we have to do as an Electoral Commission needs to be set aside in a legal way. The National Assembly needs to be brought into this conversation. The President needs to go back to several of the reports and set up a committee that has people, stakeholders, who sit down and decide which aspects of these past recommendations needs to now begin to be implemented.
And which needs to be brushed up and all the rest of it.
Yes, and the most important is the method and process of appointment of election management team. And I think that you have to go back to the drawing board to start this process. I do not think that the election management team as it exists today can take this country to the next step.
And basically, by election management, you mean INEC?
I mean,
the
INEC,
Electoral Commission,
at all levels.
INEC, right?
You need to have a new system that creates a new electoral commission, that creates a new election management team, and follows the process that have been outlined in various recommendations that have been made, especially the Ways Committee reports that have indicated how you can appoint an INEC chairman, how you can appoint INEC national commissioners. And indeed, we have to go back to the question whether you indeed need resident electoral commissioners. Because where governors send names of nominees to be appointed recs, or where a political party
raises a lot of questions.
What it does is really just destroys the system, and that's why you have the resident electoral commissioners acting with arbitrariness, without responsibility, and without accountability. We have to do this even before the next off-cycle elections. But certainly we can't go on with this type of election management body, and we can't go on with this sort of abused electoral process. This democracy will collapse very soon if we don't check the nature of election management system that we have in this country, because citizens have lost faith totally in elections in this country.
Very, very profound what you're saying, particularly for a country like Nigeria that is supposed to be a symbol and a signal to the rest of Africa. But are those policies in themselves going to be enough, or would the government have to go back to social policies? Because we know that corruption and electoral malpractice thrive when there's poverty.
There is poverty. You're not going to solve poverty quite quickly, but you can fix your election system quite quickly. And when people understand that they can vote without the process being abused, then you begin to see better elected officials respond better to citizens' demands. But if we say that the major thing, if we blame the abuses entirely on citizens and refuse to do what we need to do in terms of policy change, in terms of legal changes, in terms of constitutional changes, then we would have to pray, and you know, it's a difficult word to use, but we would have to pray that this democracy survives.
Well, God isn't going to come from heaven and fix the democracy for you.
God has given us too
much
much
chances. He's given you everything that you need to fix it yourself.
Exactly.
So, I mean, beyond sort of the allusion to God and obviously the need, very important points you make about what needs to be done urgently. What optimistic note can you sound for us from your observation and analysis of this election?
I think it's difficult to be very optimistic about these elections. I think what surprised quite a few people is, even though there was a low turnout, what surprised quite a lot of people was even that the turnout was as much as it was, even though it was low, which means that citizens are saying...
It was dramatically low,
yes,
wasn't it?
Yeah, but people are, there is still people saying, look, we could have confidence in elections if you fix it. So in some ways, people have not totally given up on the electoral system, but it wouldn't go on for too long. In fact, it wouldn't go on till 2027. It wouldn't.
And these points that you make, which are very, very important, very poignant, and very pointed remarks, are they incorporated in the civil society situation room report?
It is incorporated
in very stark terms?
In very stark terms. The Situation Room report today, and there was a press conference addressed by the convener, which basically made the point that these elections represent a huge disappointment, and this country cannot continue on this trajectory. That's very clear.
Clement, I want to thank you very much indeed, and I want to thank you for consistently standing up for what is right in this country, and for, of course, being a founding convener of the civil society.
Nigerians badly, even if Tinubu is currently in Saudi Arabia. Yesterday, Saudi Arabia sent back 264 Air Peace passengers that arrived Jeddah yesterday from Nigeria, and they cancelled the visa of all 264 of them. And Nigerians are asking, the president is currently in Saudi Arabia. This did not even help in any way. Instead, see how this is affecting Nigerians. And this is one thing Nigerians have been saying, that we know that this illegality is not going to in any way help us. Instead, it's going to continue destroying the image. And also, the APC, instead of them to work to make Nigeria better after they have stolen the mandate and now playing blame game, as they're now blaming that it was Buhari's regime that destroyed Nigeria and left Nigeria bankrupt. I'll be giving us details on this and more. But before we go fully into it, I would like us to please do well to like this video, and please do well to subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe, so you will get updates whenever we post a new video. See the way this newspaper here reported this. They said, breaking: Saudi Arabia cancels visa of all Air Peace 264 passengers on arrival in Jeddah. Saudi Arabia has cancelled the visa of all the 264 passengers lifted by Nigeria's major carrier Air Peace on arrival in Jeddah from Kano, and insisted that the airline should return them back to Nigeria. It later allowed 87 passengers to remain and insisted that 177 should follow the Air Peace flight back to Nigeria. The flight took off from the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, via the Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, on Sunday night, and arrived Saudi Arabia's major city, Jeddah, on Monday morning without issues. But on landing, the Saudi Arabia authorities announced that all the passengers' visas were cancelled. So this is what is actually happening. They cancelled all the visas of 264 passengers from Nigeria. And Tinubu is currently in Saudi Arabia, yet this is actually happening. The president of the nation is there, and they are ordering Nigerians to go back to their country, to go back to where they are coming from, giving excuses that we don't even understand, and the president could not do anything about it. And that's why we say he can keep traveling, going about to meet these nations, but that does not change the fact that they don't value him and his illegality. Reacting to this on X, this person here said, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will revamp Nigeria's refineries and give Nigeria the foreign currencies to stabilize the naira as well. Then 3 days later, the Saudis slammed Nigerians with a visa ban while Tinubu is still in their country. This is classic. See finish. No respect for Jagaban, no regard for Nigeria. Nothing. Do you know how embarrassing it is for the Saudis to cancel the visas of a whopping 264 Nigerian Air Peace passengers to Jeddah upon arrival? They did this while Tinubu is still in Saudi Arabia. They couldn't wait for Jagaban to go back before humiliating Nigeria like this. This will never happen on Obasanjo's watch. You can steal an election, but can you command the respect of the international community? That's the critical question. When I told you that Saudi Arabia is not going to revamp Nigeria's refineries and give you a wolf forest to stabilize your yo-yoing naira, you thought that I was being maliciously unpatriotic. Tinubu is only interested in looking good against being good, but its deeds, not words. Good name is better than good. The thing is, Saudi Arabia is a leader in OPEC. Saudi Aramco will not empower Nigeria nor the NNPC. You are a competition and the world left you behind. Governance is practical. You must show working. Forget the busybody, the showmanship, the lies, and the fake news. In the eyes of the world, Tinubu is a nobody. The UAE visa ban now, the Saudi visa ban as well. And that's it. 3 days ago, they announced to Nigerians something that they know that is not truth, that Saudi Arabia will help revamp Nigeria's refineries. And now this is coming even while the president is still in Saudi Arabia. And like this person said, this cannot even happen under Peter Obi's watch. It's impossible for something like this to happen. Another person here also reacted and said, Tinubu went to Dubai. They banned Nigerians from obtaining visas. He went to Saudi Arabia. They revoked visas of Nigerians on arrival. Please, sir, don't go to Canada. I know you are Kweku the traveler. You can branch to Palestine. Otherwise, please stay home and continue rigging for legitimacy. And that's it. You went to Dubai, the same thing happened, and now you went to Saudi Arabia. See the kind of humiliation you are bringing to Nigerians. Like we all know, he's actually traveling all over the world so that he can get legitimacy. But these people know you, and what you are doing is in turn affecting innocent Nigerians, and that's not how it's meant to be. Another person here also reacted and said, Jagaban is out to destroy the little ounce of integrity and respect Nigeria has. I knew it was a fake news when they started selling out the Saudi Arabia helping Nigeria. I read the full story on Saudi Gazette. APC is the bane of propaganda and fake news. Believe anything they say at your own peril. And that's it. They will not be working. They will not do anything. They will come out to lie to Nigerians. And just imagine the kind of shame they are putting our country into. This person here also reacted and said, Nigeria is going 15 steps backward since Tinubu started occupying Aso Rock. And that's it. You are taking us backward, destroying our image in the outside world. Another person here also reacted and said, Tinubu wants to force legitimacy. He keeps traveling around the world, scoring own goals from France to UAE to Germany to Saudi Arabia. Lies and propaganda cannot give legitimacy. Legitimacy belongs to the citizens of Nigeria, and only Nigerians can give it. Nigerians have it, and that's it. It's only Nigerians that can say whether you are a legitimate president, and the whole world actually knows that Nigerians did not vote for you in the last election, but all what you people did was that you grabbed it, you snatched it, and you ran away with it, and now you are traveling around the world just to look for the same legitimacy that your people did not give to you. Another person here also reacted and said that think with Muslim ticket they will worm their way into Saudi authorities' hearts. But Saudi Arabia is not a lawless country. They will never parley with a drug baron and a certificate forger. Saudi Arabia does not rate Tinubu. This person here also reacted and said, tomorrow they will say it was Saudi that banned Nigerians, not Arabia. That's it. They will also cook another lie to tell Nigerians. This person here also reacted and said the president should stop traveling because it wouldn't be funny if the US or England imposed a visa ban on Nigeria. If he has to travel, he should limit it to Middle East countries and Far East Asian countries. And that's it, because we found it that now any country that he travels with, at the end of the day, they will stop Nigerians from coming to that country, because these people have seen that this man is not a man of integrity. They have seen that indeed all what Nigerians are saying is the truth, and now they are stopping him from coming to their country. Another person here also reacted and said Tinubu will go down in history as the most disrespected president in the world. Dubai has no respect for him. Saudi Arabia has shown their clear disregard of him. The whole world knows him as a criminal with a questionable past. A good reputation is worth its weight in gold. And that's it. Indeed, for you to be a leader, you must work on your character. And this is one thing that Peter Obi said. Leadership is not just about position. Leadership is primarily about character. Not that you just fight, you grab it, you snatch it. Now you are in office and people are not even respecting you. International communities are not even listening to what you are saying, and you claim to be the president of Nigeria. Also reacting to this person here said 2 or 3 days your president traveled to Saudi Arabia and I believe he is still there. Today, Saudi Arabia cancelled 264 visas of Nigerians who traveled to Saudi Arabia. If he like, make he visit Joe Biden of America. These leaders who respect democracy will never rate him. Just imagine the humiliation while you are still in their country. They are stopping your people from coming in with no legitimate reason, just because you are an illegitimate president. Another person here also reacted and said, immediately Tinubu entered Saudi Arabia, Saudi quickly blocked the next flight of over 200 Nigerians from landing in peace. They said, let's handle only una president abeg. He is an unwanted visitor. Another person here said the same Saudi Arabia, Tinubu and APC told us yesterday that they are coming to stabilize our naira and also revamp our refineries. Make una dey play. How can they respect us when we elect criminal as leaders who don't respect themselves? This is the end result. And one thing there is that Nigerians did not vote for them. Nigerians did not elect them into power. We all know that Inec selected them regardless of the fact that Nigerians didn't want them to come into power. You fought for it, you stole the mandate, yet you can't do anything. The only thing that you are doing as the president is that you are bringing shame to the people that you claim you are leading. Another person here also reacted and said the cancellation of visa of Nigerians by Saudi Arabia government is the beginning. The cancellation of 177 Nigerian passengers aboard Air Peace by Saudi Arabia is the beginning of more nightmare for Nigerians. The people were denied entry after landing, despite their valid entry visas fully paid for. This happened while the so-called Nigerian president and his entourage were still in Saudi Arabia, boasting of investment opportunities promised by Saudi investors. The image of Nigeria was damaged severely by 2023 election and worsened by the judiciary. This administration should not fool themselves. No investor with a clear vision and agenda for better outcomes of their investments will touch Nigeria as a country, talk less of its citizens. Soon, Nigeria will know what they did to themselves by allowing a certificate forger, one who lied, bribed his way into power and supported by scrupulous flawless judiciary to remain in power. Diplomats know how to speak the right language while hosting you. The real pudding is in the execution of the promises. It is not about shouting Emilokon and foolish supporters behaving folly as they are. It is about governing. As I always say, Nigeria is not an island. It is like a drop of water in the sea. The world is the sea where every country plays in, and this is just the summary of it all. At this point in time, he can be there and he can be lying to the whole world, lying to Nigerians that they are coming to help Nigeria, they are coming to invest in Nigeria, but it's not possible. Who is going to come to invest in a nation where the president is a certificate forger? They will be scared that these people are going to forge documents and give to them. They will be scared to come and invest. They will be scared to come and do anything. Imagine the visas the Nigerians paid for. They are cancelling it for no reason. That means they don't trust that the visas are actually original because of the president that is currently in Saudi Arabia, because they know that he forged his certificates, because they know that he stole the mandate of the people and now is stealing off on Nigerians. This is not what Nigerians wanted. That's why they trooped out in their mass to vote. But just look at what this illegitimate president is doing to our nation. Also, this person here said weeks ago, Bola Tinubu's government said United Arab Emirates have lifted the visa ban on Nigerians. It was a lie. Few days ago, Saudi Arabia will invest in Nigeria's refineries. Yesterday, Saudi Arabia cancelled visa of Air Peace 264 passengers after arriving in Jeddah. Just imagine how this government is destroying our nation with lies. Another person here also reacted and said illegitimate Muslim government has recorded visa cancellation from Saudi Arabia for Nigerians visiting Jeddah for Hajj. Tinubu's criminality and drug dealing is catching up with innocent Nigerians visiting Hajj, and this is it. His criminality is really telling on innocent Nigerians. Another person here also reacted and said Saudi Arabia has cancelled visa of Air Peace 264 passengers after arriving in Jeddah. While Bola Tinubu is still in Saudi Arabia, you have not seen anything yet. Countries with nothing compared to Nigeria will still issue visa ban on Nigerians, and this is indeed very pathetic. Another person here said the world will not reject Tinubu, but they will reject you and I because of him. There's a huge price to pay. Saudi Arabia just cancelled 264 passengers on an Air Peace flight visa on arrival. We are tightening the screw by ourselves. The problem is that it's the ordinary Nigerians that suffer it. When they see politicians, judges, and their children, they don't cancel their visa. He went to UAE, and while still there, our problems with them got more complicated. Same with France, same with Germany. Now it's Saudi Arabia. You can snatch, grab, and run with it, but can you use it for anything other than looting and drug trafficking? Rufai Oseni here said, I thought they said the Saudis were our best friends some days ago, but why the Air Peace incident? And that's it. They keep lying to Nigerians and they are destroying our nation. Also, Ribadu have come out to say that Buhari's administration looted Nigeria into bankruptcy, so no money for Tinubu to run the country. This is what he said, and we are wondering, is it the same country where they allocated 5 billion naira for yacht? Is it the same country where they allocated billions of naira for the office of the first lady? Now they are coming to say that his administration looted all the money that Nigeria has, and now Tinubu is left with nothing. See what this person here said concerning this. Nuhu Ribadu is saying that Buhari regime looted Nigeria to oblivion. Tinubu's camp speak in tongues as if Bubu and Bola are no longer twins. What are they not telling us? The blame games is now approaching gear 2. So this is what this person here is saying. These were the people that claimed that they are going to continue on what Buhari has done. Now they are saying that he looted Nigeria's money. And another person here also reacted and said, from I will continue with Buhari's legacy to Tinubu inherited a bankrupt from which government, please? It's just what we are seeing in our nation. But Nigerians are not going to stay down. Nigerians are not going to keep quiet until we are able to take back our nation from these corrupt individuals who have no plan to move Nigeria forward. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. Please do also share your thoughts about the video in the comment section. Please do also like this video, and please do also subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe, so you will get updates whenever we post a new video.